Dad,
What is it?
have you ever actually seen the big friendly giant?
Once, my father said. Only once.
You did? Where?
I was out behind the caravan, and it was a clear moonlit night, and I happened to look up, and suddenly I saw this tremendous tall person running along the crest of the hill.
Were you frightened, Dad?
No. It was thrilling to see him, and a little eerie, but I wasn't frightened. Go to sleep now. My father was a fine mechanic. People who lived miles away used to bring their cars to him for repair rather than take them to the nearest garage. He loved engines. "A petrol engine is sheer magic," he said to me once. "Just imagine being able to take 1,000 different bits of metal, and if you fit them all together in a certain way, and then if you feed them a little oil and petrol, and if you press a little switch, suddenly those bits of metal will all come to life, and they'll purr and hum and roar." It was inevitable that I too should fall in love with engines and cars. Don't forget that even before I could walk, the workshop had been my playroom. My toys were the greasy cogs and springs and pistons that lay around all over the place, and these, I can promise you, were far more fun to play with than most of the plastic stuff children are given these days. So, almost from birth, I began training to be a mechanic. But now that I was 5 years old, there was the problem of school to think about. We were in the workshop, I remember, on my 5th birthday, when the talk about school started. I was helping my father to fit new brake linings to the rear wheel of a big Ford, when suddenly he said to me, "You know something interesting, Danny? You must be easily the best 5-year-old mechanic in the world." This was the greatest compliment he had ever paid me. I was enormously pleased. "You like this work, don't you? All this messing about with engines?" "I absolutely love it," I said. He turned and faced me, and laid a hand gently on my shoulder. "I want to teach you to be a great mechanic, and when you grow up, I hope you'll become a famous designing engineer, a man who designs new and better engines for cars and airplanes. For that, you will need a really good education. But I don't want to send you to school quite yet. In another 2 years, you'll have learned enough here with me to be able to take a small engine completely to pieces and put it together again all by yourself. After that, you can go to school." You probably think my father was crazy trying to teach a young child to be an expert mechanic, but as a matter of fact, he wasn't crazy at all. I learned fast, and I adored every moment of it. And luckily for us, nobody came knocking on the door to ask why I wasn't attending school. So 2 more years went by, and at the age of 7, believe it or not, I really could take a small engine to pieces and put it together again. The time had come to start school. My school was in the nearest village, 2 miles away. We didn't have a car of our own, we couldn't afford one. But the walk took only half an hour, and I didn't mind that in the least. My father came with me. He insisted on coming. And when school ended at 4 in the afternoon, he was always there, waiting to walk me home. And so life went on. The world I lived in consisted only of the filling station, the workshop, the caravan, the school, and, of course, the woods and fields and streams in the countryside around. But I was never bored. It was impossible to be bored in my father's company. He was too sparky a man for that. Plots and plans and new ideas came flying off him like sparks from a grindstone. "There's a good wind today," he said one Saturday morning. "Just right for flying a kite. Let's make a kite, Danny." So we made a kite, and together we walked to the top of the hill behind the filling station to release the kite. It caught the wind and soared upward like a huge blue bird. "Let out some more, Danny," he cried. "Go on, as much as you like." Higher and higher soared the kite. "Let's walk it back to the caravan," my father said. So we walked down the hill again with me holding the string and the kite still pulling fiercely on the other end. When we came to the caravan, we were careful not to get the string tangled in the apple tree, and we brought it all the way round to the front steps. "Tie it to the steps," my father said. "Will it still stay up?" "Oh, well, if the wind doesn't drop." The wind didn't drop, and I will tell you something amazing. That kite stayed up there all through the night.